Hello everyone. Pray everyone is doing well and having a beautiful spring. Today we are going to be doing something new. New for the videos, but not new for us, but new for the videos. We want to videotape how we transplant and plant our elderberry shoots that we get from stick. And this was from a couple of years ago, and we grew these out just by one of the cuttings, and now the leaves are coming off of these particular elderberry plants. Now today we are going to be working in the garden right over here. This is where we had a few years ago, we had our sunflowers and we had some corn, etc. We're going to be cleaning out this bed right here, and we're going to be planting our elderberry. All right, so now elderberries is definitely not only beautiful and easy to grow, but they're also packed with much needed nutrients. It has a lot of health benefits. So let's get into it, and we'll walk you through the process step by step, along with some helpful tips, inshallah, and reasons why you might want to grow one yourself. So let's get to starting to plant. Now first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak this inside of some water so we can get the roots all wet and soft. And we're going to be preparing this area, cleaning it out, and letting you all know what we're doing. Stay tuned. Now we had a little bit of some weeds growing in this area, so we're just going to pick these out, clean up the bed a little bit. It's already fertilized. We're actually doing these particular elderberry trees, which is the American elderberry. We're going to be doing them right next to our chicken coops. All right, so I'm going to clean out this bed a little bit, and I'll show you how it looks when it's all cleaned out. All right, so far, alhamdulillah, I cleared out the area where I'm going to be putting our elderberries. But like I said earlier, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my paper off, our paper bags that we put around the base of the elderberry shoot, and shaking off this dirt a little bit in this pot. Get that out the way. Shake off this. Alright, as you can see, we got new plants growing in right here. Let's see. Right here, this is the elderberry. So what we're going to do is we're going to soak it in water. And then we're going to do the same to this one. Some of the excess dirt. I'm just going to drop this into the water as well. You don't want to leave these soaking for too long, no longer than 2 hours, so it won't drown the root and start rotting. So we're going to prepare this area a little bit more, and let's talk about the elderberry. Such a beautiful April day, alhamdulillah. Okay, so this is our elderberry. Now, the most important thing is the step one that you want to do is that you want to choose the right area to plant your elderberry bush. It's sunny right here. So, first things first is that elderberries they absolutely love sunlight. So, I'm planting this in a spot that gets plenty of sun. Now, I'm planting this in a spot that gets a lot of sun, about 6 to 8 hours a day. So you want to plant the elderberry where it gets plenty of sun, at least 6 to 8 hours. Now, they also prefer moist, well-draining soil. Now, if your soil is heavy clay, you might want to mix in some compost or some sand when you plant your elderberry trees. Now, here's a good tip that you can actually use. Now, if you're planting more than one, space them at least 6 to 10 feet apart. Now this bed right here is about, I would say 10 feet. So we're going to place each of these plants about, actually not that far, but usually what you can do is place 10 feet apart and they'll do fairly well with their space because they do get fairly huge. So now step 2, we're going to be, like we said, step 1, most important was to find a sunny location, which we have here. This area gets about 8 to 10 hours of sunlight every 8 to 10 hours of sunlight every day. So we're going to be planting 2 of them right in this bed. We had a lot of healthy growth right next to our chicken coop. So right now, step 2 is going to be digging a hole for your elderberry trees. So now here we softened some. So I'm going to go ahead and run the tiller over this area really quick. It's very, very well draining. This is very good, well draining soil over here. That's why we love planting crops right directly next to our chicken coop. So, and then it's full of fertilizer already. So we're going to till this a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to jump right into step 2 of planting your elderberry. I'm going to be now digging a hole about twice the size, about twice as wide as the root ball and just as deep as this root ball. So this is considered the root ball of the elderberry. And so this gives the roots like plenty of room to spread out and settle in easily. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be digging a hole right here, and we'll see the hole, and I'll place the elderberry tree inside of the hole. All right, so now I've dug the hole for the elderberry tree, and as you can see, it's twice as wide. You see how wide it is of the root ball, and twice as deep. So as you can see, this is how it looks in the hole, and I'll be burying that. Now, one tip you can do if you don't have your soil fertilized while planting your elderberry tree is that you can mix in a little bit of organic compost with your native soil, which is your soil from your land, and which is your soil from some native soil, before backfilling your hole. This is what this is going to do is give your tree a nice nutrient boost as it establishes in the ground. So since this area is already fertilized and ready for planting our elderberry tree, we are going to be filling this hole up and burying it down up to like the root base right here. So let's get started. So on this end, I'm gonna speed up this part a little bit for you. All right. So we're just filling in the soil around the root ball, nice and tight. Make sure we don't have no air pockets. This shoot right here will come out of the ground sooner or later right here, but let's keep on continuing to bury it. And we'll show you how it looks when it's all completely buried. We're actually not going way up here. We're going to be going to at least wherever the hole stops, which is right here. So right here. And this actually ties into step 3, which is placing your tree inside of the ground. Now, okay, now it's time, since it's time for us to, plant our tree inside the ground, you want to top the root, which is down here, already buried down there. Top the root ball level to the ground, not too deep. Gently spread out your roots if they're circling or tangled, which these weren't really tangled or circling. Now, if they are, you want to uncircle them a little bit gently. Try not to damage the root or anything. And you start placing your soil around the roots. Just around the root right here. Just placing it. Now, as I backfill the hole, I'm pressing the soil down gently to remove any air pockets, but I'm not doing it too hard, okay? We don't want to compact the soil too much, but gently compact it as you putting it down, not like pressing it down too hard so you won't damage the root. Now, you want to, after you do this, I'll go into the next step, which is step 4, is watering. So let's finish pressing this down and plant the second elderberry tree. All right, so now I've planted our elderberry tree inside the ground. I made a little, kind of like a deep gouge around it so the water can get in, which is step 4, what I'm talking about the watering. Now, I'm going to be giving this a good soak. I get this water over here, giving it a good soak. All right. Now, elderberries absolutely love water, especially when you're growing young and getting them established. Now, you want to keep the soil moist but not soggy for the first few weeks of planting your elderberry tree. So this will stay in here, keep those roots a little bit moist. And now I wanted to give you a tip for this actually. Now, adding mulch around the base, now about 2 to 3 inches thick, helps retain moisture. And what it also does, it keeps weeds down. So they don't like weeds around their base or anything. Now, you want to make sure not to pile it right up against the trunk. Now, you want to put the mulch a little bit around, you see where the water is, but not right at the base. That's a good tip to keep your elderberry bush moist. All right, so now we're planting the second elderberry tree. So let's put that in like we did the previous one. And then what we're going to do is going to be covering the root ball and patting down gently as we are planting in our elderberry. Pat gently. We're going to cover that root ball right here. Pat gently. Like I said, elderberries love moisture, so you want to keep them moist, not soggy, for the first few weeks after planting your elderberry tree. And like I said, the mulch will really work. So now I'm just going to be making this little mound around it so the water can stay in this area. It's real simple. It's nothing too complicated. All right, and then I'm going to soak it. Keep it. All right, so now I'm going to be giving it a good soak. And there we go. We're going to shoot how we have the 2 elderberry bushes. All right. Thank you. All right, so now we have our elderberry bushes planted. They're about, I would say, 4.5 feet apart. We do ours a little bit closer. But now step 5 would be, now in the first year, now you want to focus on watering and letting the roots get strong, okay? So that's very, very important, okay? Keeping it watered and establishing the roots so they become really strong. Now after that, elderberries are, actually they're pretty mild maintenance. You don't really have to do a lot to them once they get established. Now you can prune them in late winter to remove dead wood and encourage more fruiting. Now, that encourages actually more fruiting canes. These are known as the fruiting canes right here. So you can cut those off just above these root balls and then root and make and get more elderberry trees. They're very easy to root. So now we'll jump into some health benefits. Actually, let's talk about some health benefits of elderberries. Now, if you see these wilting a little bit because it's fairly sunny, it's about 60 something degrees today. It's fine. It's going to get established. If they actually wilt and kind of die off, it'll still be a little bit better. So, all right. So here is our elderberries, and we're going to jump in and get some health benefits going on, so you all can be more encouraged to, inshallah, get out there and plant some elderberry trees. And right here we have our center block herbs. So these are from last year. They're actually coming back in April, and they're really bushy. This is mint. And right here we have thyme, and throughout this whole area we're going to be planting more mint, and they actually help with, keep away bugs and things that can eat at or affect your elderberry tree. Now one of the reasons that we absolutely love planting elderberries is for their amazing health benefits. Now, the berries are packed with antioxidants, especially vitamin C, and they're actually well known for supporting your immune system. So now, elderberry syrup is often used to help fight off colds and flu, but some studies suggest that it actually can reduce the duration and the severity of symptoms. Now, the flowers can also be used in teas for fever, and a lot of people don't know that can be used for fever and inflammation. Now, it is some warnings with elderberry. Now, we want to remind you that raw elderberries, as well as the stems and leaves, can be toxic if eaten. Now, you want to always cook the elderberries before using them in syrups, jams, or your teas. Now, I think that's pretty much it. But now my elderberry tree is in the ground, and inshallah it's ready to grow. Now I'll be checking on it regularly in a year or two. Now it should be producing those rich dark berries. Now, if you've been thinking about planting one, I say go for it. Now, they're excellent. One of those trees that, you can use the berries, if cooked right. Because like I said, like a warning earlier, that they can be toxic if it's not steamed or cooked very well. And we'll go into another video on how we do our elderberries once we harvest them, inshallah. Elderberries are a beautiful, useful addition to your garden. Now, you want to let us know. Now, please just let us know if you have any questions or want to see how it's doing later in the season. Now, we thank you all for hanging out with us today in our garden. And we hope you all subscribe, share, like, and watch the whole entire video. And we'll see you all for updates on our elderberries. Thanks for watching.